On this episode of Intent Topics, I walk into a huge rant by Logan on why more deals aren't closing, and he's fired up. Logan, how's it going, buddy?
It's all right.
Yeah? How was your day?
My day was great. I'm doing awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like I keep on having the same conversations, like deja vu. So
Nice. You seem a little punchy. What's on your mind?
I feel like the amount of opportunity that I have seen wasted by salespeople is enormous.
What do you mean?
So I'll back up. I got my start in sales, like door to door, selling Comcast back when I was 18.
Yeah.
But then I got into the car business, which is where my kind of education of what it takes to be a real professional salesperson. No, you cannot take a day off. Like if you are not on as a car salesman, you don't make any money. If you are, you make a ton of money. Right? That's how it goes.
Nothing in between. Yeah.
And some people get lucky, right? And they'll like beat you one time, right? And it's like, all right, that sucks.
Yeah.
But what I've seen like in that business, in that industry, and then a lot in the B2B space, like think about this, in the B2B space, right? The likelihood of you messing up a deal because you haven't followed up or you said the wrong thing, like it's not as in your face as when you're just sitting there with somebody, right? Sure.
Or somebody walks off your lot, right? Yeah.
So the metaphor is this, like, because the sense of urgency is not inherent, right? Like in the car business, I knew if a person left the dealership, they were unlikely to buy a car. Now, it was, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. There was the internet. I could not be a slimy car salesman. You had to like be composed. You had to show value. You had to be a good person. You couldn't be an asshole.
Yeah, those days are gone.
But you had to close them. You had to convince them to buy. You had to build urgency. You had to show value. And there had to be a sense of urgency, in yourself in order to do that. Were you going to say something?
Well, yeah, just the amount of materials they have against you, and how much you're forced to be authentic, or you're just
or you're dead.
Nowhere. Yeah, dead in the water. Done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now, I see in that industry there's a lack of urgency, and then I see companies like we're trying to find suppliers, we're trying to find vendors. I have lunch with people and I hear these stories, right? And it's like this sense of urgency in B2B is no different, right? These are bigger deals. In business to business, it's a bigger deal than a car.
Right.
But so often there's like let's break out why people don't chase and don't have a sense of urgency, right?
Sure.
The first one, you have people pre-qualifying themselves out of a deal. Right?
Like give an example.
Yeah. So it's like, that company can't buy because, right? Or,
right.
A lot of times, a guy who says this happens, or whatever it is in your business.
Like we've heard it, like, they're too young, don't want to teach them everything. Yeah, I need to teach them to even get the order, and then we don't even know if they're going to last because they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
exactly. Yeah, too chaotic.
Yeah. Sounds like a little bit of cannabis stuff there, but yeah.
So you see these salespeople, right? I see it all the time. Like, luckily, I feel like the people that we work with, like, our clients and stuff, a sense of urgency is always there, right?
Sure.
because we're putting quality in front of them, you know, so like we try to make sure we shake all that out, you know, but
and they're paying us to do what we do.
Yeah.
And if they don't see value in it, well, it's kind of like this like balance line. If they don't see value in it, they won't be urgent. They won't be urgent if they don't see there's value in it. None of this works. And the relationship's done.
Right.
You know? So
back to what we're talking about. Like, you got salespeople pre-qualifying themselves out of a deal.
Right.
Right.
2. Yep. Number 2. What's 2?
So yeah. Okay. So that's good, right?
That was 1. Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, lack of urgency to understand what the next step is. Right. So you're on a phone call.
Yeah.
And you get off without asking somebody to take the next step.
Right.
What's the next step?
Right. Next logical step too, right? Like there's I see this sometimes is people think the next step is just one thing, but it's actually that step in the seller's mind is actually maybe a little too far down the road. Yeah. And they've made some assumptions about how far down the road they were, and they potentially skip steps. Like, for example, internal buy-in, right, on a large deal, you know?
Yeah, so that's what it comes back to. Like if you're selling something, control the deal.
Yeah,
right. Yep. I've never bought your service.
Right.
Tell me how to buy it. Mm-hmm. If I need to pump the brakes, convince me why.
Right.
If you don't feel comfortable telling me why your price right now, don't just tell me it's not time to go over price. Like, screw you. Tell me why you need to gather more information to validate that.
Yeah,
right?
Dude, I had a wicked bad experience with that years ago. I was trying to set up some, I forget the company. I wish I remembered the name of it. It was like dashboard software. Dharmesh Shah is like invested or whatever. I would say the name if I can remember it. I'll Google it. You know the name. The dashboard software we looked at. Anyways, I'm trying to build dashboards for inside the office in Portsmouth and HubSpot for these different teams. And this sales rep would not even get me to the point where I could have give me a ballpark conversation of like what this would be. He's like, oh, well, there's onboarding and there's this, and we'd have to talk about it. And he wanted all these like deep dive calls, and all he cared about is my decision-making authority and all that, which is great. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But it was so frustrating trying to get a straight answer on how it would go that I was like, get the hell out of here. I'm not talking to you anymore. Like, I don't even care. Like, and I never looked at it since. Right. And that was years ago.
Yeah. So I feel like we've kind of like melded this together, right? So it's like 2, urgency on the next step. 3, like, have a sales process and follow it, right? Most sales managers worth their salt will have a sales process identified. Mm-hmm. Many sales managers and sales leaders have a problem with holding people to those processes. That makes a miserable buying experience for their customers. Exactly. That's what happens. If it's not a miserable buying experience, they don't see it, but they see deals die on the vine. Mm-hmm. Pipeline stall out because there's no urgency. There's no commitment to take the next step. There's no urgency. And then the 4th one, I'm just throwing it at you, is curiosity, right? So there's no curiosity. And I'm so tired of hearing like Gary Vaynerchuk talk about curiosity like it's like some like grandiose idea, right? It's like what are you trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? And why can what I'm selling help you accomplish that? I don't care what color your cat is, but I do care how I can help you. And you see a lot of people get on these calls only talking about themselves, that kind of thing. You know?
So go back to the Gary Vee stuff. What are you saying here? So are you saying like he's saying you need to be curious, and you're like, why are people being told to be curious? That's step 1, even though it's 4 in this. But like, if you don't have any curiosity, don't show up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like it's like, I think he's made it into like this like buzzword among like the business bro culture, right?
Yeah.
Which is not. It's not some noble thing to have curiosity.
Right.
It's like just try to establish what somebody's trying to accomplish deeply enough, and then how can your product sort of help your prospect solve that?
Yeah. So like, I don't know where, soapbox curiosity or, mandatory, but I've seen curiosity lack of curiosity, and too much curiosity in the same, or in a different capacity, like just managing people, right?
Right.
And so I have a huge like customer success background. I'm trying to keep customers. I'm trying to get them successful in the engagements, right? And there'd be employees that I would be like, dude, you have to have some curiosity in order to figure out what to do here. Like, it's not always going to be this process, right? And it's like a little creativity, a little curiosity. Like, why don't you go check out maybe that, maybe this complaint, maybe the reason things aren't going well actually has like a neat little thing that we could solve, and this person's thrilled, right?
Sure. Yeah. I think curiosity is good, but here's the problem when salespeople like exhibit so much curiosity and so much empathy and have no detachment. They fall in love with the customer. And when the customer says no or has an objection, what happens?
They're crushed. Yeah.
Or they believe that. They're rationalizing that. They're rationalizing giving up the gross. The deal, right? They are rationalizing why they shouldn't follow up with the person. They're rationalizing why they shouldn't try to convince the person that this is actually the right deal, because they know enough about what the client or their prospect is trying to accomplish, and they know deeply how their product can solve that.
Yeah. Let's real quick though. Let's also not mistake that as not being empathetic, right? There is a way to be empathetic in the situation as well, right? And that's probably where some of this curiosity.
So the way I think about it is empathy, right? If somebody's crying, right, then you say like, hey, I understand you're having a tough time. Is there anything I can do for you? Right. Sympathy is if somebody's crying, then you cry with them. Right. And so the problem is, I think when you have people who get like not curious enough, then you can't establish fit. When you get too deep into the sort of weeds with a customer, and all the things they're trying to do, then the ability to detach and really like focus on how your product can help them solve their problem goes away.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. Let's get back to like this whole lack of follow-up kind of topic. You seem a little better now. Do you want to follow up with the importance of following up with a good leader, being creative with it?
So I think all of this kind of like goes into this sack, right? Of like all the reasons that people let opportunities die, right? When you convince yourself from the get-go that this customer can't buy, you never go through your sales process. You never see maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe there's the ability to get creative. Maybe there's, it's not this product or service, it's that product or service. And they inquired on this one, and maybe you're going to make less of a commission, so you don't want to deal with it, or whatever these things are, right?
Are you saying that there's never a time when you're like, there's no way this deal is going to close?
Yeah, bro. I think like what I would say is that sales people and sales leaders need, or leadership at a company, period, need to accept less stuff just dying so early in the process, because it's an epidemic.
Right.
We're convincing ourselves that pushing too hard is bad.
Right.
Right. I don't think it is. I think being tactless is its own thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, but I do think there is a level of qualification. Like I'll take the perspective of being sold too. There are times when I'm seeing somebody not letting go, and I'm like, listen, I was never even interested enough, didn't have the budget, authority to even go there.
Tell the person.
Yeah.
Tell the person you're not going to buy. Disqualify yourself.
Right? Yeah, no, and the best part about that, or not the best, but then they'll follow up with like 3 more freaking emails. They're just like, dude, I tried to be honest with you. And now you're like, still.
That's the person's sales process.
Yeah, well, That's just like your classic like sales automation SaaS software model that you see.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the chase, not so much like, these people who have like tried to automate their way into deals, right? Mm-hmm. That's a whole other call. Mm-hmm. So like what I think is, if people get just curious enough where they can dig, but mm-hmm. not so curious that they fall in love with the customer and believe every objection they throw up, not try to pre-qualify the customer before they even kind of get everybody involved in the deal. Right. Not, get disappointed that like, things stalled out for a week or a month or something, and they didn't follow up. Mm-hmm. On the call, they ask for the next step. They ask mm-hmm. for commitment to make the next step. You're going to close more deals, right? So the risk is, I followed up too much with this guy and he got a little bit pissed off.
Yeah, that's not terrible, right?
It's a much bigger risk. There's way more money being left on the table, right? Because mm-hmm. if you look at economically, you're saying, I'm leaving all this money on the table because my reps are not following up with this prospect mm-hmm. deep enough into the process. Or my rep is spending some time on a deal mm-hmm. that he shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. What's your CLV? Like, what's your customer lifetime value? $50,000, $100,000? What's your rep salary? $5,000 to $10,000 a month?
Right.
What's a few minutes?
Right.
Like, and the rep telling me that they're wasting time, like, sends me through the roof, and it should send all the sales managers through the roof, right? Right. Like, you're wasting my money. That lead costs more than your time. That's it. So that's my rant.
That's a good rant. That was good. So what's the punchline here? Give it to me in one packaged up punchline.
Every rep and every sales leader should require their reps to get one step further, at least in the pipe or in the sales process, mm-hmm. further than they feel like they should. If you don't feel like if the prospect says something that like would be a reason that you would pre-qualify them mm-hmm. and kill the deal, do the demo. Mm-hmm. Do the discovery. See what happens. Right. Might be good. You never know, right? Somebody makes an objection or throws out an objection. Try to handle it. Don't let the deal die.
Sweet.
That's it. Punchline.
Dude, I love your fire today. This is great. Should we wrap it up?
We should wrap it up. I'm tired of hearing my own stuff.
Dude, I'm loving it. I wish it was this way every day.
Cool.
All right, folks, this wraps up today's episode of 10 Topics. I am Chris Battis.
I'm Logan Kelly. Go ahead and give us a 5-star review and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We will see you next time. Thank you.
See you. Take care.